welcome to A Taste for the Road. My name is Scott, and welcome to Triumph's latest Speed Twin. So for any of you enthusiasts of the Triumph brand, you know that the Speed Twin is pretty iconic, having been introduced in 1938, designed by Edward Turner, and was also managing director at the time. They sold about 45,000 units. It actually has helped really save the company and the Meridian factory during some pretty lean and difficult years. So when Triumph reintroduced it last year, I really wanted to get a chance to try and test one out and see what makes it a pretty special motorcycle. I ended up finding one locally here on the Twisted Road peer-to-peer sharing platform here in the US, and obviously here we are today. As an aside, I've worked with the Twisted Road folks on a promo for A Taste for the Road viewers and subscribers, so please stick around to the end of this video and I'll go ahead and share that with you all. So I think, having ridden this bike for a little while now and had a chance to get a bit of a feel for it, the biggest surprise for me is the number one attribute, if you will, or quality that is just standing out. And this is a great example right here, is the chassis. The motor's a wonderful thing, but this chassis is just such a sweet thing taken from the Thruxton R, lightened a bit with some additional aluminum. It has been pivoted 2 degrees forward for a little bit of better weight distribution, and you can really feel the difference here through even just side to side and through some of those bends just now. The Thruxton R that I test rode a couple of years ago now, lovely machine, did feel a bit top heavy, and you can certainly feel that they have taken some weight out of this bike. Total of 22 pounds, surprisingly enough. In fact, this bike is 5 pounds lighter than the Street Twin, which is again a smaller motor, one less front disc on the front end here, and just again quite a surprise, but delightful. I think what really stands out in terms of just how it feels is how just smooth and calm it is, whether it's at really parking lot speeds, moving around, you're at a gas station, also just moving around gently. There's just this fluidity to it that is very friendly, very calm, and just rewarding in a way that I didn't quite know what to expect. Other reviewers have said lovely things, and they are absolutely right on the mark. Hello, sir. Nice Triumph. Excellent. Something else that's really been a nice surprise here too, and others have mentioned it, is the ergonomics. So this is a comfortable thing to ride. I'm quite on the smaller side, about 5'7". My inseam is 29.5 inches, and I can get my feet down quite nicely even with my sport boots. The gentleman who owns this is probably around 6 feet, maybe 6'1", also finds it very comfortable, and I think it's a testament to the rider triangle, where the bars and hands are, your backside, and then obviously the pegs, that this particular bike fits an awful lot of people. And I think whether it's for quick Sunday blasts and all-day rides such as this one, or taking it out for a long weekend with some simple bags, which I would feel very comfortable doing, you can move around. It's just a really nice place to be. Bars are up. There's just the ever small amount of pressure on my wrist, but nothing unpleasant whatsoever. You're canted forward ever so slightly, which I actually prefer. And yeah, it's just got a very, very nice feel to it. The suspension does a solid job of keeping me planted onto the tarmac. The fronts are KYB 41mm non-adjustable forks. The rears are also KYB with a bit of preload allowed. Excuse me. And again, they do a good job. You can certainly feel where they're not quite as nice as the Thruxton R units. But again, this is a less expensive motorcycle and more affordable. I think for its intended role, Triumph has done a good job calibrating them for a variety of different pieces of pavement. Brembo's on the front, Nissan's on the rear. Both are actually really quite good. There's been a little bit of criticism elsewhere. I'm again not sure quite why. When you think about who is going to be interested in this bike, I would say if you're interested in this machine, you've got absolutely nothing to worry about. It absolutely will stop you with these axial brakes just fine. The 1200cc power plant in this thing is a real joy, and I don't think will come as a surprise to anyone. After all, it is used pretty extensively in a number of Triumph's range, from the Scrambler, obviously this, the Thruxton, and others too. Tuned a little bit differently for each application, but there's just simply no getting around the fact that it has just creamy power, creamy torque as well. You're probably familiar with most of it, so I'll just highlight a few figures. 96 horsepower at 6750 and a little over 80 foot-pounds of torque at just under $5,000. And whether it is sweeping from 3 to 6, or it's roughly the 5 where you're getting peak torque all the way to peak power and a little bit beyond, it's simply a lovely, lovely motor. I do find a little bit of the throttle to be a touch snatchy, particularly in sport. I've left it in road most of this time, but nevertheless is something that I think you could easily go ahead and work around. Or potentially, I do wonder if the aftermarket Vance and Hine cans and ECU remap would also go ahead and help out there a little bit. Last but certainly not least is the bike's looks and appearance, and here Triumph needs to just get a big high five in terms of attention to detail and how this thing has just a wonderful stance. Whether it's looking at it in your garage on a Friday night after a long week at the office, or whatever the circumstances might be, the fit and finish, the paint quality that just glistens in the sunshine, the little Triumph badges everywhere that still look distinct, and special. Yeah, there's just a lot of little finishes, little extras, little somethings of everything, hidden wires, etc. That just, what you call it custom, you call it bespoke, you call it something else. Some of it is that it just looks great, and I think, as someone who wants a premium motorcycle and was willing to pay a little bit extra to go ahead and get it, as this is a pretty affordable machine, relatively speaking, that I think an owner is going to feel very good at purchase, very good, after a month or two, and then even really very nice and very satisfied 2 to 3 years out, where this thing is just going to age very, very well. No bike is perfect, and there are a couple of areas where I think the Speed Twin could be a little bit better machine. Again, I've mentioned some of them, such as the throttle that's a little bit snatchy, the suspension that has been built a bit to a price as opposed to a particular standard to keep the price down, but I do understand it. It's still just not quite as good as I would hope it to be. I think the rear pegs need to come in for some criticism, like the Tiger 800 that has been fixed with the 900. They were just welded on, which, makes it less expensive to produce. Hello, guys. But the reality is, if you happen to drop it, you're going to bend the rear subframe. And you bend the rear subframe and it can't be repaired, and so you're basically going to go ahead and write the bike off, as some Tiger owners have done, and I'm guessing that a few folks here as well have also repeated, which is regrettable. And I think, given that it's not expensive to address, that hopefully with the next iteration of this they will go ahead and make that correction. And then I think finally, for some, the fact that this motorcycle is produced in Thailand is an issue. It helps, of course, keep the price down, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Given the importance of the heritage behind Triumph and how the brand has chosen to position itself, it absolutely goes ahead and rubs some of you the wrong way, and I absolutely understand where you're coming from. Objectively, it's a very well-built motorcycle, but if you're going to go ahead and celebrate your firm's heritage, it does raise questions about whether or not it should be produced in the home country. And so that is, again, something to consider. On the topic of value, I think it's really just quite a quite a compelling proposition. This is a little over $12,000, a few hundred more here in the US if you end up getting the glossy red paint or the ice gray, if I'm remembering the name correctly. And when you look in the used market, you know, a one-year-old model like this with, we'll say, 3,000 miles on it, it's still selling here in the US for 10 grand, and that's very, very strong, even in this environment around COVID, which makes it even, I think, more exceptional and impressive. There are very few 2019s to be found. Lots of 2020s have been delivered so far, and it's simply, yeah, you can just tell it's hit a real strong spot with a lot of folks, and with its combination of power, looks, chassis, other dynamics, compromises to help keep the price down to a reasonable amount. It also is, yeah, just I think a real compelling value. And in talking with the owner earlier this morning, caught his attention as well, and obviously that is simply no surprise. So to summarize this Triumph Speed Twin, I think it's just that great combination of wonderful chassis dynamics, a lovely motor that's authoritative, vocal, but still very smooth and tractable. Obviously, it's very good looks, which will absolutely sell more than a few units and make people feel good for many years to come after purchase. The attention to detail and just simply how this machine has made me feel today. It's definitely got that Goldilocks character to it, where it's got just enough power, just enough chassis dynamics, just enough engine note. And for a day like today with sunshine and some poofy clouds, people seemingly in a good mood, being able to do a little bit more outside than they have been for months at a time. And yeah, it just has that Jonesy feel that helps make you feel good and lifts your spirits. So I hope you found this video enjoyable and informative. Please give me a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe if you'd enjoy being alerted to new videos as they become available. Oh, very nice. Dodge Viper. As they become available, there'll be, of course, a written review of this motorcycle on atastefortheroad.com when this video drops, and I will certainly include a link below for you to check out if you'd enjoy that. Also, with respect to another link, so I have, or A Taste for the Road, if you will, has partnered up with Twisted Road and a referral program that they have. So if you want to go ahead through a link below and sign up if you are here in the United States or you plan to travel here, as they rent bikes across the country through their platform, you can get, if you sign up for 3 days worth of riding, you'll get 1 day free. If it is below 3 days, there's a 25% discount. And Austin, who's the founder, who I've been communicating with, and he's been very kind to go ahead and offer that, as he does to others as well, but said, why don't you go ahead and share this with everybody, with your audience and anybody who might be viewing this video at some point in the future. And I said, absolutely, can do. So if you're an international member of my subscriber base, or you happen to see this, you're welcome to, if you end up coming to the States and want to rent a bike for pleasure or for work, if that is allowed. Most importantly, please go out and create your own adventure, whether it's to see something that you do know in a new way or something completely new, and please share that with us in the comments below. It's really important to build a community. And so with that, I think I will go ahead and bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.